name's Jane.
My name's Alex.
My name's Marissa.
And my name is Vanessa.
And we are going to be discussing Alphabet Inc. versus Apple Inc. and which company would be a better investment.
All right.
There you go.
Apple was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne in April of 1976 to develop and sell personal computers. They started the company in the garage of Steve Jobs' parents' home in Los Altos, California. Ronald Wayne didn't want to continue, so he had sold his share of the company back to Jobs and Wozniak for $800. It was incorporated as Apple Computer Inc. in January of 1977 and was renamed as Apple Inc. in January of 2007 to reflect its shifted focus towards consumer electronics. Apple is the world's largest information technology company by revenue, the world's largest technology company by total assets, and the world's second largest mobile phone manufacturer by volume after Samsung. In November of 2014, Apple became the first U.S. company to be valued at over $700 billion, in addition to being the largest publicly traded corporation in the world by market capitalization. The company employs 115,000 full-time employees as of July 2015 and maintains 478 retail stores in 17 countries as of March of 2016. It operates the online Apple Store and iTunes Store, the latter of which is the world's largest music retailer. Consumers use more than 1 billion Apple products worldwide as of March of 2016. Apple's worldwide annual revenue totaled $233 billion for the fiscal year ending in September of 2015. The company enjoys a high-level brand loyalty and, according to Interbrand's annual Best Global Brands report, has been the world's most valuable brand for 4 years in a row, with a valuation in 2016 of $178.1 billion. After Steve Jobs had died from pancreatic cancer on October 5th of 2011, Tim Cook was appointed as his successor.
Alphabet Inc. was founded on October 2nd, 2015 by the two founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, with Page serving as CEO and Brin as president. It is the parent company of Google and several other companies previously owned by them. The company is based in Mountain View, California at Googleplex. The reorganization of Google into Alphabet was completed on October 2nd, 2015. They had picked the name Alphabet because it means a collection of letters that represent language. One of humanity's most important innovations is the core of how we index with Google search. Each class of Google stock issued an outstanding immediately prior to the Alphabet merger will automatically convert into an equivalent corresponding share of Alphabet stock, having the same designations, rights, powers, and preferences and qualifications, limitations, and restrictions as the corresponding share of Google stock being converted. The shareholders will get one Alphabet share for every Google share that they have previously owned. Alphabet's portfolio encases several industries, including technology, life sciences, investment capital, and research. Some of the subsidiaries include Google, Caluco, GV, Capital G, Verily, Waymo, X, Google Fiber. Some of the subsidiaries of Alphabet have altered their names since leaving Google. Google Ventures becomes GV, Google Life Sciences becoming Verily, and Google X becoming just X. Following the restructuring, Page became CEO of Alphabet while Sundar Pichai took his position as CEO of Google. Shares of Google stock have become converted into Alphabet stock with trade under Google's former ticket symbols of Goog or Google. The establishment of Alphabet was prompted by a desire to make the core internet services business cleaner and more accountable, while allowing greater autonomy to group companies that operate in business other than internet services.
2, 1.
So we're doing the financial outlook for Alphabet and Apple. And so Jane is going to start with Apple first.
So according to analysts, Apple Inc. will not disappoint in terms of its earnings. Analysts advise that the company will outperform in the market. It has sold over 78 million iPhones during the December quarter, also coming out ahead of the consensus. The company expects to double its services revenue over the next 4 years. iPhone 8 is expected to bring double-digit unit for the growth of the company, and now we're going to hear about the Alphabet Inc.
According to 36 analysts, Alphabet Inc. will not fail in terms of its earning report. And now analysts advise that the company will outperform the market with a 3% increase in the last month and a 16% within the last year. Alphabet dominates the mobile ad market and expects to increase in ad revenue. The company expects to grow moderately in revenue from $17.3 billion to $20 billion. Alphabet has topped both expectations in 3 of the past 4 quarters. The previous consensus forecast advised investors to purchase equity in Alphabet Inc., with the first quarter featuring the Pixel smartphone. The company expects to see 1 million units for the quarter, expanding the revenue for the company in all.
Of Alphabet and Apple, now we're going to delve into a little bit about their financial statements and compare the two companies. So Apple currently sells, as of May 2nd, currently has a stock price of 147, and Google had a stock price of 918. So right off the bat, Google is a lot more expensive of a stock. The last 4 quarters, the average earnings per share for both companies, Apple was at 1.94 and Google is at 7.19. One thing to keep in mind with the earnings per share is you can actually get 6 stocks of Apple compared to Google's 1 stock. So actually the earnings per share, if you had 6 shares of Apple, your earnings per share is actually 11.67 compared to Google's 7.19. So another thing to consider with investment is Apple gives dividends, where Alphabet Inc. or Google does not give dividends. So yes, Apple is going to be a lower yield stock, but you're going to get the dividends, which is nice. A little bit about their efficiency and how the two manage their companies. Apple's gross margin is at 38, whereas Alphabet, their gross margin is at 61%. So Alphabet is bringing in a lot more gross profit right off the bat. Whereas their operating costs are both roughly around, Apple is at 27%, and Google's at, or Alphabet is at 26%. So they both operate about on the same margin. Another quick look at the current ratio for Apple is 1.23, and the current ratio for Alphabet is 6.29. So the scary thing there with Apple is they are really close to a 1% ratio, which means it's kind of tough for them to pay back short-term or long-term liabilities, whereas Alphabet has that 6.29. They have a huge cushion for paying back any obligations that they might rack up. So another thing with a debt-to-equity ratio, Alphabet is at a 2.83 and Apple is at a 66.13. So Apple has a huge debt-to-equity ratio, which is not good, but it's also not bad if you look at where those numbers are going. So if we compare it to the return on investments, Apple last year had a 19.48. Their last 5 years is at 25.74. So yes, Apple has that higher debt-to-equity ratio, but it's showing in their investments that they're making returns back. Whereas Google or Alphabet, their return on investment last year was 13.97, and their 5-year average is 14.2. So there's not a whole lot of variation. They're not really expanding in investments like Apple is. And then just one last little thing for accounts receivable turnover. Apple is at 16.15 and Alphabet is at a 7.03. So Apple's definitely, they're out there getting their money back, whereas Alphabet's letting people kind of hold on to their money longer than maybe they should, but they have enough capital and enough spare cash that they don't need the money right away, so they're not as aggressive as seeking the returns. So that's a quick look at some of their more important financial statements. Thank you.
Apple and Alphabet are arguably the two most powerful companies the world has ever known, with a combined market capitalization of almost 1.2 trillion. Unfortunately, there's no definitive way to choose which stock has a better buy at today's price. There are some main aspects to consider before deciding which company to invest in. First is financial fortitude. Too much money is a good problem to have. Having this attribute makes the companies very desirable. When difficult times occur, both of these companies will have many options to work with, such as buying their own stock back. They can outspend their rivals that are more cash-strapped, or even make acquisitions. Both Apple and Alphabet have strong balance sheets. However, Apple's numbers are greater than Alphabet's, even after considering the fact Apple is valued at 11% higher than Alphabet. This perspective is to see if one company has more flexibility due to its cash than another. Second of all is sustainable competitive advantages, which is usually what separates themselves from competitors. Apple is a very powerful brand, even more abroad. This allows the company to charge more for its products than competitors, and also has a system that keeps their customers hooked in the system. Some say is a cult. Users have their iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV all linked. As of right now, investors prefer value over growth, and Apple stock is doing better than Alphabet, with $246 billion in cash on its books. This provides a nice safety cushion for investors looking for safety. Although Alphabet appears to be slightly cheaper compared to Apple, Apple is a better deal on every perspective. It is difficult to find a company successful as Apple that's trading for quite so cheap. And you also receive 2% dividend, which has room for growth and is safe. As a group consensus, we have determined that Apple is a better company to invest in stock-wise.
Okay, I'm recording.
I'll end right here.
Okay.
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 I'm secure.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna sit right here.
You're not going to be in the shot?
I'm gonna be in the shot here.
My name's Dylan.
My name's Nia.
My name's Jane.
My name's Alex.
My name's Marissa.
And my name's Vanessa.
And we are going to be talking about Apple Inc. versus Alphabet. Or Alphabet versus Apple, whatever. I've already messed that up.
Okay, let me see.
Apple was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne in April of 1976
Alphabet's portfolio includes.
Hey, you're almost there.
Oh my god. Okay.